To test the DME, we go to the Test Functions menu, select Test Functions, select the DME. We have three choices here: DME, distance measuring equipment, ILS and DME, or VOR and DME. Select the DME page, up pops the DME test page. On the left hand side we have all our preset conditions. Down the bottom there we have the config. To open the config, just click the yellow config button and the DME config page appears. At the top we can select whether we would like to test through the antenna or through a cable connection. In this case I'm going to select antenna. In some cases we might need an external attenuator. If we put one on the test set, we'd enter a value in this menu. In this case I'm not going to add an external attenuator. Next one is the frequency preset channel or variable. At the moment it's showing preset. If I click the preset, you can see the choices. I'm going to stick with the preset. Power can be changed from dBm, millivolts or microvolts. Set to dBm right now. I'm going to leave it. This part's quite important. We need to tell the test set how far the ARTS-7000 antenna is from the aircraft antenna. In this case we're saying that it is 3 feet away and the aircraft antenna is 1 foot above the ARTS-7000 test antenna. We must add these values in. We should also tell the test set at the bottom here which cable length we're using. In this case it's set to 3 feet. I'm going to say we're using the 12-foot cable. The bottom one is just when we do a direct connection, and we'd have to tell the test set how long the cable is between the ARTS connector and the unit under test connector. We finished our DME configuration, so exit out of here. To set up our frequency, the reply frequencies are preset, as I've already explained. In this case I'm going to choose 998 MHz. The nav frequency, the DME reply frequency, is paired to a navigation frequency. This is done automatically. However, if you want to change nav frequencies, you can do. Channel, I can change between X and Y channel. Power, I have a range of power from very low at minus 99.31 dBm to minus 34.31 dBm. I'm going to change this value to minus 45 dBm. Enter that value. Now when we test DME, it's a scenario type of test, so we have to tell the test set some basic functions of how the test will run. The first one is the rate. This is the pseudo rate of the aircraft closing in to the DME beacon. At the moment it's set to 100 knots. I'm going to change that. I think that's a little bit low, so I'm going to change that to 250 knots. The range is in nautical miles. Again, this is telling the test set how far away our pseudo beacon is from the aircraft under test. 25 nautical miles is indicated. I'm going to take that up to 100 nautical miles. Percent replies is currently set to 100, which means the ARTS will respond to 100% of the interrogations from the aircraft. That's the normal circumstance, but for testing you can, if you'd like to, drop that percentage value down. I'm going to leave it at 100% for today's test. Squitter is on. You can switch it off. Echo sets up a pseudo echo to verify that the DME is locking onto the correct beacon and not the echo. So in this case I'm going to leave it off. So that's my test setup on the left. I've set the antenna up on the ground. It's pointing very accurately at the DME antenna, and through the configuration page I've mentioned that we've put the distance between the antennas and the height difference between the antennas being the aircraft antenna and the ARTS-7000 antenna. So we're all set to go. Hit the start test. There is a warning just about ATC. So the ARTS is now acting as a DME beacon with the scenario that we've set. And as we're flying to the beacon, I can also change it by clicking this button to fly out from the beacon. So very simply, in towards the beacon, out from the beacon. On the right hand side, these are the parameters that we've received from the DME to check its functionality. Quite simply, at the top we have the transmitted frequency, the transmitted power, the P1 width, that's the pulse, the first pulse width, the P2 width, pulse number 2 width, the P1 to P2 spacing, and the pulse repetition frequency. so we can receive and display the characteristics of the interrogation signal from the aircraft. This test would normally be done sitting in the cockpit of the aircraft, watching the DME indicator count down from our scenario of 100 nautical miles at a speed of 250 knots, and at any time we can change whether we are flying in or out from that beacon. Stop the test, exit back to the DME menu, and back one more time to the functions menu. That's how you test the DME.